From the Cronkite studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
A 3-hour testimony from James Comey today, and what led to Senator John McCain trending on Twitter.
Eliminating the polygraph test, how one bill makes it easier to hire Border Patrol agents, and the controversy it caused in Congress.
The power of the written word, how letters are making a difference for detainees in Eloy.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Annika Walters.
And I'm Tyler Paley. Thanks for joining us. James Comey testified in front of the Senate Intelligence Committee this morning. President Trump fired Comey last month in the midst of a probe into suspected Russian interference with the 2016 general election. When asked whether Trump ordered him to stop the investigation into Michael Flynn, Comey said he felt directed to drop the investigation, but was never explicitly ordered to do so. Comey said Trump himself was not under investigation, but his campaign was. He also accused Trump of lying about why he fired him. Comey said the probe is not against any individual or ideology, but instead about protecting the U.S. from Russia.
We're talking about a foreign government that, using technical intrusion and lots of other methods, tried to shape the way we think, we vote, we act.
Comey's testimony was easily the biggest stage in Washington this week, and the senators who were on the committee seemed well aware of its importance, which is why Arizona Senator John McCain's turn on that stage left some scratching their heads today. From our Washington bureau, Alex Valdez comes to us now on John McCain's line of questioning. Alex, good evening.
Yes, Senator John McCain was the last lawmaker to face Comey today, but spectators and Comey soon noticed that the Arizona senator's line of questioning may not be exactly in a straight line. Former FBI Director James Comey was probably expecting a big day today when he testified to the Senate Intelligence on the investigation of possible Russian influence on the Trump administration. But he probably was not expecting to be elevated to the rank of president himself.
The President Comey,
No, sir.
excuse me, in case of President Trump, you have an ongoing investigation.
That was just one of the rambling statements from Arizona Senator John McCain, whose questions during the hearing left many scratching their heads and ignited a social media storm. Some appeared to be genuinely concerned about McCain's well-being.
Pat Turner Jr. said, John McCain proved today that it is time for him to step down and retire. # off into the sunset.
While others try to see the humor in the moment.
At Bex 2089 said, John McCain sounded like me when the instructor would call on me and I didn't do last night's reading homework.
Eventually, McCain got in on the act, releasing a statement in which he joked about staying up too late the night before the hearing to watch a Diamondbacks game.
The difference, it's over the same issue. That was the question I was trying to get at. Obviously didn't do it very well. What?
At least the Diamondbacks won, and the team did not appear to be taking the stumbles of its most high-profile fan too seriously. McCain says he was trying to ask if Comey believed if any of his interactions with the president rose to the level of obstruction of justice. The senator said that he was planning to ask the question, but this time he'll submit it in writing. Just in case. Live in Washington, Alex Valdez, Cronkite News.
A bill to drop polygraph tests for Border Patrol applicants passed the House yesterday, but it was met with pushback from some advocates and some Democrats. Reporter Emma Lockhart spoke with Arizona legislators about the controversy.
Tensions ran high yesterday as the House debated Representative Martha McSally's bill that makes it easier to hire Border Patrol agents. The bill will waive the polygraph test for veteran, military, and law enforcement applying to Customs and Border Protection.
This is something we've been working on with the last administration, again, to support veterans and others in law enforcement that have already put their lives on the line for us, and gives the tools to be able to close some of these very critical manning gaps.
Gaps like the current 2,800 unfilled Border Patrol positions. Supporters of the bill say the waiver will help speed up the hiring process, but opponents like Arizona Representative Raul Grijalva are cautious.
These individuals, I think, need to have the full background check to assure that in the process of expediting and making the hiring easier, we're not creating other problems as we go along.
He says that 60% of Border Patrol applicants aren't passing the polygraph. But McSally says that doesn't mean applicants aren't qualified.
You know, we've had highly decorated combat veterans, constituents of mine, that have gone through this test and come back with these, false negatives and have come to say, like, they had a horrific experience with the whole thing. So there's a separate issue that's being looked at right now in parallel.
As Congress debates, the Department of Homeland Security is piloting a more accurate polygraph test. In Washington, Emma Lockhart, Cronkite News.
A similar bill sponsored by Arizona Senators John McCain and Jeff Flake is pending, where it is waiting for a full vote by the chamber.
According to the Southern Poverty Law Center, Act for America is the largest anti-Muslim group in the U.S. Arizona Representative Ruben Gallego spoke in Washington today to denounce the group, which says it is simply misunderstood. Cronkite News reporter Noelle Lilly got both sides of the story today from our D.C. bureau.
If you're a Muslim, you're an American. If you're an atheist, you're an American. If you are an immigrant, if you're Latino, if you're Asian, and you're in this country, you're an American. People who aren't Americans are bigots.
Arizona Representative Ruben Gallego joined other House Democrats today to send that message from Washington to more than a dozen cities, including Phoenix, where March Against Sharia events are scheduled this weekend. Gallego said the true intentions of Act for America, the group behind the marches, is not to fight Sharia law.
They claim to be trying to fight Sharia law. That's just an excuse for them to be bigots. There is no threat of Sharia law in this country. The only thing that they fear is other people of color and with different religions.
But if you ask members of Act for America, they'll tell you the exact opposite.
If people say to me, Scott, this isn't going to come to our country, this isn't coming to America, and the fact of the matter is, it is. Did you know that 500,000 girls have been victim of or are at risk to female genital mutilation?
Pressler added that Act for America is not anti-Muslim.
That we are not against people. We are against barbaric practices, and that's the difference.
Sharia law is a strict form of religious law practiced in some Islamic cultures. Gallego and others say the group spreads a message of hate.
Arizona and the rest of this country should not stand for this type of bigotry.
The representatives called on Americans across the country.
Find the Muslim community, and stand with them peacefully in a place that acknowledges that we are not hate, but we are love.
In Washington, Noelle Lilly, Cronkite News.
One of the protests is scheduled for June 10th at Paradise Valley Park in Phoenix.
The University of Arizona has received a $100,000 grant for the research. The grant comes from the Pharmaceutical Research and the Manufacturers of America Foundation. Pharmacy Assistant Professor Jenna Losiganik will focus her research on Medicare claims, specifically hidden patterns in data and areas with the most cases. The university wants to strike a balance between moderating patients' intake of drugs, but still allowing people to ease their pain in a medically appropriate way. We have been covering the opioid epidemic all week. Cronkite News is dedicated to covering the crisis in Arizona and nationwide. Our documentary Hooked RX, From Prescription to Addiction, highlights the problems of painkillers here in our state. You can watch the documentary and find resources for getting help online at hookedrx.com.
If you own a home, chances are you're paying a mortgage. But when one Valley veteran called his mortgage company to resolve an issue, it took months, even with help from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Cronkite News reporter Tyler Fingert is live in the broadcast center. Tyler, is this common or is he alone?
No, thousands of veterans have dealt with similar issues. That's according to this new report out this week from the Arizona Public Interest Research Group and the Frontier Group that looked at 44,000 service member and veteran complaints and found a quarter involved mortgages. Serving in the Army, Randall Stankiewicz experienced a lot.
I had 197 holes shot in my helicopter, and I crashed twice.
But trying to fix a problem with his home's mortgage proved to be a tough fight.
I felt victimized after 4 months of trying to get him to do something.
He found out he was paying $78 for mortgage insurance he didn't really need, but getting them to do something about it proved difficult. So he turned to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, a government agency that helps protect consumers with financial complaints.
I knew they were taking advantage of me. I just didn't know who to contact until I got on the internet.
And Stankiewicz isn't alone. The new report, which looked at 44,000 complaints made to the CFPB from service members and veterans over a 5-year period, showed nearly a third of complaints were about debt collection, followed by mortgages, accounting for a quarter of the complaints.
We all have a lot of respect for members of the military. They're there to protect us, and I think it's particularly harmful when we're seeing members of the military being targeted.
But Stankiewicz says he's happy to be done.
That's $78 a month that wasn't going in my pocket, and it surely shouldn't have gone in theirs. They should have taken care of it within 30 days of being notified.
The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is facing a setback. A House bill that scales back powers of the government agency passed the House late this afternoon. Now it just needs Senate approval before heading to the president's desk. In the broadcast center, Tyler Fingert, Cronkite News.
Members of the Puente, Arizona Human Rights Movement gathered to write letters to detainees currently at the Eloy Detention Center. Cronkite News reporter Lilia Calvillo shows us what the impact these letters have on their recipients.
Adela Lozano has been writing letters to her husband in immigration detention for 2 years. Now she does it for others as well.
The time goes by slow for them. It's very sad to be there, and their consolation is receiving a letter.
Lozano is part of Uno por Uno, or One by One, an organization that supports immigrant detainees held at the Eloy Detention Center. As part of their initiative, they write letters to people facing deportation.
The letters are delivered to this immigration detention center in Eloy, run by a private corporation known as Core Civic.
The truth is, when we are detained, morale no longer exists for us, and we feel unprotected, humiliated, segregated, and discriminated. Receiving the letters made everything change. My companions smile again.
Juan Miguel Cornejo, an asylum seeker, joined the group as soon as he was released from being in detention for 8 months.
I felt reassured that there were people fighting for me and the others detained, and that made me remain hopeful even during the most difficult times.
Volunteers not only write letters, but also fundraise to send them money for food and personal care items like toothpaste and deodorant. Sometimes they visit just to lift their spirits. In Phoenix, Lilia Calvillo, Cronkite News.
After this event, the Eloy Detention Center received 47 letters.
Stadiums across the country are undergoing renovations to improve fans' game day experience.
And for one stadium, this has been long overdue. Coming up on Cronkite News, the latest addition for a 2-year makeover at ASU's Sun Devil Stadium.
And how one ASU club is challenging Hollywood to diversify its cast in front of and behind the camera. Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe has undergone renovations over the last 2 years. Most recently, the installation of a new state-of-the-art video board. I toured the stadium this week to see the progress and how the video board will enhance the fan experience. On August 31st, ASU football fans will fill Sun Devil Stadium for the team's season opener. Inside, an unfamiliar but welcomed sight awaits. It's a brand new video board in the north end zone.
The video board had always been a major element in the reconstruction and re-envisioning of Sun Devil Stadium.
The Arizona heat was a factor in the board's design. ANC, the company that was contracted to design the display, had to take this climate into account.
We have an enclosure behind the entirety of that board, and we have 48 high-powered HVAC units or AC units, and that's to help mitigate, the heat.
From the beginning of the stadium's renovations 2 years ago, Manning said this display was one of the most anticipated pieces that fans could look forward to.
This has been on the books since day one.
The video board installation is just part of this three-stage process to reinvent Sun Devil Stadium. The goals in mind: make this place a hub for major events other than college football games and enhance the fan experience.
The board can get up to 9,500 nits in terms of brightness. So with that brightness, as well as that mitigative effect of the sun reflectiveness, it's going to provide a great HD viewing experience for all the fans.
And the size of the entire structure, 180 feet wide and 60 feet tall.
The size of it is something to note. It's within the top 10 college football displays in the country.
To give people a reference, that it's almost a 6-story building.
Manning and Flagg say the board will be finished and fully functional by August 1st, exactly 30 days before ASU hosts New Mexico State to start their season.
ASU Film Spark, known as Arizona State's embassy to the entertainment industry, hosts its first event for the All for One initiative. Cronkite News LA reporter Madeline Witt tells us how the program intends to address gender inequality in the field.
Gender inequality in Hollywood was put under the microscope when Arizona State Film Spark students hosted their event, 12 Angry Men Revisited. A panel discussion and breakout sessions were held in Santa Monica with the goal of reimagining 12 Angry Men, a critically acclaimed movie when it was released in 1957, starring Academy Award winner Henry Fonda. In the motion picture, the all-white, all-male jury was adjudicating a murder trial.
We're not convinced.
Rethink your character, now knowing the sex that character has been assigned.
In the reimagining, Sun Devil students and industry veterans, including producers and directors from shows such as Scandal and Pretty Little Liars, took on the role of the 12 jurors, writing a different backstory, reflecting a more diverse panel.
Made me think quite a bit about our innate prejudices and our feelings about men and women and what we're capable of, and I'm really glad I got to think about it tonight. And the students thought about it in very deep ways, and it was very impressive.
Program Director Adam Collis hopes that events like these will help to bridge the gender inequality gap behind and in front of the camera.
What we wanted to do was to innovate and experiment and have sort of almost a brainstorming exercise that would really be lively and engaging, interactive and dynamic, and at the same time giving our students the chance to collaborate with these incredible professionals.
Go to school and where? ASU Film Spark will host more events at Arizona State's Tempe campus this fall. In Santa Monica, Madeline Witt for Cronkite News.
According to the Directors Guild of America, only 17% of television shows were directed by women in 2016.
About a year ago, a sonic boom woke up part of Arizona.
And we're still learning more about the meteorite that crashed into the state.
We can really understand what the meteorite is telling us.
Coming up on Cronkite News, what scientists now know about this rock from outer space.
Calm winds, sunny skies, your 7-day forecast coming up.
following up on a story from last year when a meteorite crashed in Arizona. Cronkite News reporter Kevin Cusack went to find the meaning behind the meteorite's official name.
Last June, a meteorite landed near the town of Sibicu, which is on the White Mountain Apache land.
So it was an exciting event, it really was. I mean, lots of people saw it early that morning. They heard it. They heard the sonic booms as well. We knew it was a fairly big event. And also some of the seismographs up in the Strawberry Basin area actually recorded the sonic booms hitting the ground. That's how big an event it was.
The research team led by Lawrence Garvey, curator of the Center for Meteorite Studies, got some help from Jacob Moore and Ronnie Lupe to find the pieces.
And Dr. Garvey was very sensitive in terms of the cultural expectations and the fact that this was in a tribal nation, and he wanted to make sure that the tribe itself had the opportunity to really have a part of the discovery.
Meteorites are often named after geological locations. This one was finally given an official name.
But then I also suggested, hey, what about proposing a more traditional Apache name? So the Apache name for Sibicu is Dischibico. And so that's going to be the sort of the formal name that's going to be used in most of the publications. But then they also suggested a slightly longer name, which is Sibicu Starstone. So it'd be Dischibico Tiltonte Tse.
The naming process took a year to complete. In Tempe, Kevin Cusack, Cronkite News.
And for more information about the Center for Meteorite Studies, visit meteorites.asu.edu.
In the midst of summer high temperatures, residents in southern Arizona have been evacuated from their homes after 2 Cochise County wildfires. County officials say approximately 25 to 30 homes have been evacuated due to a fire near Dragoon. Last night, residents near the Desert Mountain community were evacuated. As of now, no more evacuations have been ordered.
And despite wildfire conditions, temperatures in the valley are expected to cool down slightly. But weather reporter Madison Connor is here to tell us what exactly to expect this weekend. Madison, what's it looking like?
Unfortunately, Tyler, this weekend is still going to be pretty hot. Today we're looking at 104 and sunny, and it's slight winds are coming in from the west. Now looking at our average on high for around this time is 102, so we're slightly above that, but well below the record that was made in 1985 of 115. Now looking into temperatures across the state, you see those cooler temperatures up here, 82 in Show Low, 78 in Flagstaff, and then zooming in to see those valley temperatures, we see that there are triple digits across the board, except for in Apache Junction, Cave Creek, and Superior. Now, going into our 7-day forecast, we do see that those triple digits continue into the weekend, and then there is a slight drop off on Monday, as Tyler said, but it does hit right back up on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm Madison Connor, Cronkite Weather.
Well, if it cools down enough, Madison, it might be a good weekend to get outside.
Maybe even play one of America's favorite sports, football. Coming up on Cronkite News, how women are tackling this sport and gaining yardage.
What are you doing? Possibilities. Your day is filled with them.
Reach up, energy in the fingertips, collapse.
TV,
play Downton Abbey.
And PBS helps everyone discover theirs. Anytime, anywhere.
Up in the sky, you can see it.
PBS, we're with you for life.
Tackle football is the most watched sport in the U.S., but Cronkite News LA reporter Carson Bushjo spoke with athletes from the largest independent women's football league.
Right there, Adrian! Tackle football is no longer the exclusive province of men.
It's one of those things that your dad said you couldn't play because it was boys' sport.
Tell that to the 1,600 players and 36 teams in the Independent Women's Football League. The 17-year-old organization was founded by a group of players dedicated to making football available to all women.
We're playing women's tackle football. These women, they hit.
Head coach of the Carson Bobcats, Bobby Hosea, founded the team last year. He believes women play to prove the doubters wrong.
Probably the ones with brothers, you can't do that because you're a girl. You can't do that because, it's for boys. And so I think they're anti that, and they want to prove that they can do anything they want. And to be honest, they can.
One of those players is 5-time cancer survivor Jane Brinkman. In 2006, while living in San Diego, she was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. Looking for an outlet, she turned to the game she loved.
I asked permission and I came out and tried out, and then immediately, literally 3 weeks after I started working out with the San Diego Sting and playing football, my white blood count went up.
Brinkman continued playing while attending chemotherapy sessions. She's been competing ever since.
It was an outreach for me that I needed, and I'm here today because of it.
The league has also given Brinkman's teammate Drea Hollingsworth an opportunity to play. She was born deaf, but the Bobcats have welcomed her as a part of the family.
I feel like I'm part of the team, and it's really amazing feeling. This is my home, being part of the Bobcats.
There is also a home for women's football players in Phoenix. The Phantoms play their games at Moon Valley High School, but no one is getting rich off the sport unlike the NFL.
We want to be on the same level as the WNBA. You know, we want to be with the guys. You know, we want to be out there and recognized.
After a 2-month spring season, the Bobcats were able to advance to the playoffs with the championship game at the end of July. In Los Angeles, Carson Bush-Jost, Cronkite News.
The Bobcats currently have 18 players on the team, but owners hope to have more than 50 women playing within 5 years.
Cronkite News is proud to be the news division of Arizona PBS. Here's what's coming up on Arizona Horizon.
Thursday on Arizona Horizon, get analysis of the testimony from former FBI Director James Comey about his meetings with President Trump, and find out about a new center at ASU that is helping to keep students and staff grounded. It's at 5:30 Thursday on Arizona Horizon.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.